The effects of the Russia-Ukraine conflict are being felt at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Davos. The political and business leaders of the world are anxious about Europe's economic future. Meanwhile, energy shortages and the spectre of economic recession have created a sense of gloom among many business leaders. Other investment destinations are also looking uncertain, but India has emerged as a region of both economic dynamism and political stability. Keen to capitalize on this prevailing mood, India is drawing the attention of global leaders to its reformist decisions and the fast pace at which new unicorns are being minted in the country. Global investors are also keenly assessing what the Indian delegation is bringing to the table at Davos. Taking place after a 2-year pandemic-led hiatus, the ongoing World Economic Forum meeting is now looking at a different world than the last one was. And that's a reason for India to find itself in a sweet spot.
If we look at the Davos summit 2 years ago, the focus was very much on Xi Jinping, the Chinese leader. The fact that he presented himself as a champion of free trade, of a liberal economic order, while Trump's America was in fact on the other side of the fence, as it were. Today, China is not present at Davos. China is, in fact, in a somewhat more defensive mode. So this is by default, naturally, the focus will shift on the next largest emerging economy, which is India. And there is no doubt that, relatively speaking, compared to others, India's prospects, economic prospects, are still quite bright. And there is potentially an interest in India as an alternative destination for investment if China is becoming a more challenging environment. So people are talking about China plus one. I mean, will India rise to that particular promise? That remains to be seen. But this is certainly an opportunity for Indian business, Indian industry, to really put across the image of India as a very attractive business prospect.
So, what is the message that India wants to get across at Davos?
India's strategy at Davos 2022 is very clear: to present itself as a stable, dynamic, growing emerging market at a time when Europe and US are troubled by the war in Ukraine. At the same time, issues of uncertainty in the markets as well as rising specter of inflation is worrying global investors. India has made sure that the state governments and the central government are aligned on the positioning to ensure that brand India is forcefully presented to everybody at Davos.
So, India as a delegation is showcasing several dimensions of its economy, the growth and success of legacy companies, the continuous profits that global companies which have been manufacturing in India, how they have been growing. So, example is GSC, which has started manufacturing in India a few years ago, and its operations out of India are very profitable. At the same time, the third dimension is the unicorns and the rise of the startup and the entrepreneurship ecosystem. All of these three point to the fact that India is a good place to put your money in. If you're not in a rush, if you have patient capital, then India can give you a lot of benefits and profits.
As reported by Business Standard, India has adopted a strategy at Davos that is different from previous years. The delegation, led by Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal, is focused on improving internal coordination. Before the start of the conference, Goyal had invited all delegates to share their views on India's positioning. The feedback from the meeting was then incorporated into India's stance and strategy. A microsite dedicated to India was also created as a resource center. Goyal's team at the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the Invest India officers, and members of the Confederation of Indian Industry are coordinating with state governments to craft a common response on several crucial issues. Goyal's ministry is sharing briefing notes with all delegates on issues like India's stand on the Ukraine conflict, wheat exports, and the government's flagship production-linked incentive schemes. To ensure least possible confusion, about trade and investment numbers, the latest figures have also been made available. Meanwhile, foreign investors are reportedly fleeing China. As a recent report by The Economist says, Chinese President Xi Jinping's policies are having a profound and painful impact on the markets. On the other hand, while India's growth forecast for FY23 has been slashed in recent days, it has retained its status as an economic bright spot. So, could something possibly go wrong? Well, there's a challenge that the Indian delegation at Davos could face while pursuing global investors. It's the perception, both at home and abroad, that communal tensions are now once again reaching a fever pitch in India. Reports from the past few months of frequent communal clashes across India could also dampen investor enthusiasm. All of this goes back to one of India's central claims, that we are a politically stable investment destination.
Is the India story, a relatively positive story, going to be undermined by the reports coming of communal, disharmony, of sectarian clashes? Of course, this will have an impact. It may create an impression that the so-called stability of India, political stability of India, a kind of a coherence that is so important for business, that coherence may be in doubt somewhat. So it is very important, I think, for the government to be able to put across the message that it remains committed to the Constitution of India, it remains committed to secularism, and that it will make every effort possible to ensure both social as well as political stability. That will certainly be important.
As a recent Business Standard editorial explains, when the government is seeking foreign investments to attain higher economic growth, a frenzied national discourse on some medieval issues is unlikely to enhance India's attractiveness as an investment destination. There will be those who would disagree with this prescription, but global investors who are already facing turmoil on many fronts might prove to be more risk-averse than before.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.